So for me, being third generation, it put me in a situation where growing up as a kid, my parents, my mom and dad were told that to not speak Spanish, to assimilate into, US culture, and in that pathway, you're going to find success.
Mm.
So growing up, hearing Spanish and everything, it was almost like spoken so that when they didn't want us as kids to hear what was going on or to know what was going on, they spoke in Spanish. The ironic thing is now to have some of the best jobs that create opportunity is to be bilingual, right? Is to like do that. And no, I think if you do a little bit of your history homework, shout outs to Dr. Rudy Acuña's book, his second book called Anything But Mexican. He does a good job of just talking about like, I think these days our gente, especially here in SoCal, are so invested and ingrained, cultura, taco trucks, gente, speaking Spanish all the time with it. But there was a time where those food trucks were called roach coaches and our gente were straight up, racially, slurred and called wetbacks. And like, not that that doesn't happen today, but there was a time where that was very overt. And I know there's still some areas like in Orange County, like there's areas here in Riverside in the Inland Empire that still do that. But I'm saying it was even that much the hostile racial climate for a gente during the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and 70s were rough. And hence, probably why the movement was so strong in the late 60s and 70s too. The pushback to declare, I'm proud to be Mexican American. I'm proud of my culture. I'm proud of my heritage kind of thing. So yeah, I'm third generation. And a lot of my cultural identity, I think my background was found through Chicano studies. So that was my journey when I was a youngster. I got put on by some community college and university activists that are part of a group called MECHA, Movimiento Estudiantil Chicano Chicana de Aztlán. And this was like kind of during the 90s, and there was a lot of racist policies that were cracking. And, growing up like in the neighborhood and, being a school push out, I had got pushed out of school in the ninth grade and I was just kind of going through it. And, these college students came and spoke to our continuation school program. It was this intervention program I was in and just hyped us up. Come to our conference, come check this out. And, I remember the homie had like a mini truck and this conference was at Cal State Fullerton and I was in the Inland Empire by this time. And I remember leaning in his little mini truck. We all laid down, me and the two other homies, we laid down and we're on the freeway, just bouncing for like an hour to get over there to campus. But I'll never forget, we walk on campus and we go into this auditorium classroom, like that's like the auditorium with the stage. And it was packed, like 500, students that look like me, that talk like me, homies dressed in Pendletons, all creased up, talking politics, talking history, talking about el movimiento. Like our call is to go into higher education, get that knowledge and information, but then come back in our community and build. And that's at all levels: business, education, psychology, health, law, medical school. It's whatever you want to study, but then come back and come in your community and build, because I think at that time too, in the 90s, we're talking about the gente that got some of the early doors into higher ed in the 70s and 80s. But a lot of them, once they got their positions and got careers, they left the hood.
Mm.
They moved on,
Yeah.
and sometimes you can't blame them. I mean, no judgment. Like, I get it. It's like you want to raise a family where there's resource. You want to give your children a better life. I think that's a lot of our gente in our narrative. But then what happens to those communities where, again, they like, until we develop, until we invest in them, until we like kind of build, then our communities are going to always kind of be under resourced and underserved.